Well, hello, my friend. It's me, Stu, here for you. Today, we are talking about should you take all that knowledge, all that wisdom, all that expertise that you've acquired throughout the years, and should you create a course or a membership? This is really the age old debate, course or membership. And I get this question a lot where people are often thinking it's an either or scenario. And what I want to do here today is I want to walk you through my thinking on the course versus membership debate. And I want to share with you the distinction between those two different experiences because they are different. They serve people in a completely different way. And what's most important is to understand when you are selling a course or when you are selling a membership, how to position each, regardless of what you're offering, to be able to have the best results and help your people get the best results. So this is what we're going to unpack in today's time together is answering that question. Should I create a course or should I create a membership? And hello, everybody. Uh, is it Izimi? Am I saying that right? Let me know. Debbie, good to see you. Iris, good to see you. All right, so let's dive in. Course or membership? And this really is legit a question that I get all the time. And one of the things that we want to talk about first and foremost are the differences between a digital course and a membership because there are, distinct differences between the two. So let's first start off with a course. Now, a digital course is an amazing way to be able to serve people. It's an amazing way to be able to pass down knowledge. It's an amazing way to be able to help people learn some skill or learn some concepts or learn something new in a very short period of time. Now, there are many benefits to a course in terms of, not only for the person that we're delivering that content to, but also for us as business owners, right? And one of them is that the content, once it's created, really is like a set it and forget it. Now, there are those of us who, deliver courses who don't set it and forget it. And we take great pride in keeping our content at the forefront of what's going on. So for us, for example, as with our signature program and our signature course called the membership experience, we update that on a regular basis. So for us, like we've just done a massive overhaul of our course experience, and we have completely revamped everything. So like every lesson was recorded new again. We added a module. We took out a module now that's no longer relevant just because things are changing all the time. We've added new research, we've added new examples, we've added new templates and tools and all that kind of stuff. So we take great pride in constantly updating our program because we always want it to adjust with what is happening in the marketplace. And for us, given the nature of our subject matter, membership sites, there's a lot that's happened and developed over the last couple of years. So, that's where, we're a little bit different in that sense. So it's not quite set it and forget it, but we generally have a rhythm of updating our program in a big way every 2 years. But a lot of course creators have no need to do that. So it can be very much a set it and forget it. So once the content is created, now that's in a members area, so to speak, and there's no need to necessarily adjust that or update it on a regular basis, and it can be pretty passive in that way. So that's a huge benefit to courses. The other big benefit when it comes to people going through courses is it allows them to go deep on that subject matter in a very short period of time. It's like it's like being immersed in a world for a short period of time and just like absorbing as much as humanly possible, which can be a huge benefit, right? Because it can take people from like no knowledge up to like a whole lot of knowledge in a short period of time. So there's a huge benefit to courses in that regard. The other thing is that there's definitely a typical structure to a course with modules and with lessons. And modules are generally like bigger themes, so to speak. And within that are, smaller lessons that go into specifics around that theme. So for us, we have, modules around like launching, we have modules around marketing, we have modules around content, we have modules around retention. Like these are big themes, big rocks as it relates to our subject matter. And then within those are, lessons. And that provides a very easy structure for those of us creating content, and easy structure for people to be able to follow. So that's a huge plus to digital courses. And then in general, for the most part, courses are sold as a one-time fee, right? So generally the price point is going to be higher. It depends on the type of course. Obviously, there are different types. My good friend Amy Porterfield, shout out to Amy Porterfield. One of the things that I learned from her was the distinction of the different types of courses, whether it be like a starter course, which is much smaller. It's really focused on, the early stages of, helping people in the beginning. A spotlight course that may be, a really laser-like focus on a particular subsection. And then there's like the signature course, which is, kind of the one that we've created for our audience, which is much more expansive, right? So there are different types of courses, but in general, a course is going to have a higher price point, and it's a one-time sale. Again, this isn't the absolute, but in general, that's going to be the case. So now let's contrast the course experience to the membership experience. So when somebody joins a membership, when we speak about content, whereas the course, it's pretty much like you create that content and it's the same content, ongoing, right? It's that set it and forget it. A membership, it's evolving, and it evolves based on your students' needs. And this is a big distinction and difference between the way courses and memberships, deliver content. And what a membership site does is it allows us to adapt the content based on, what's happening within our membership. Now, a lot of people get their knickers in a twist thinking that they've got to have, all the content figured out before they roll the membership out. And it's actually the complete opposite. So this is another big difference between courses and memberships. In general, courses, you're going to have the structure and content created ahead of time before you launch it. Not always, you can definitely create course content on the go. But in general, it's going to have that structure and content created ahead of time. Memberships is much different. In fact, memberships is often, the content is driven by, the members themselves. What are they asking for? Where are they getting stuck? And how could we help them further along when it comes to implementing their progress? So that's a big difference in terms of the way content is often structured. And what that does is it allows in a membership side to have a little more flexibility based on, the experience of your members. So you're able to adapt it based on your members' needs. The other thing about, a membership is that one of the big distinctive differences that I see, and this isn't like an absolute, again, there are always going to be, variations of this, but in general, a course is going to teach you what to do and how to do it. A membership is going to support you in mastering those skills or implementing those, what you've learned, etc., over time. So whereas a course is about learning it, a membership is about mastering it. And that's a big difference, right? Because oftentimes when we learn something and we hear it for the first time, we feel like we have an understanding of it. But then when we go to implement it, we're like, oh my goodness, I see the gaps in what I have learned and what I'm able to do, right? So there's a gap difference. And that's where a membership is just such an amazing playground to be able to support people in experiencing progress and truly mastering the material that they're learning. And so I'm going to speak to that here in just a second in one of my upcoming points. But there's that's a major difference. Course is about learning what to do and how to do it. Membership is about mastering it. Okay. So another distinctive difference is that with a membership, one of the primary tools that we use to keep people on track and to guide them is a success path. And this is different than a course outline that we have with like, modules and lessons. That's more like almost like a table of contents, so to speak. A success path is different because a success path measures the progress that people are making as it relates to actually implementing the material and mastering the material. You're going to hear me say that word, multiple times. So, as an example, when my kids right now are in swimming lessons, and they've got a new instructor, and he's awesome. He's really, really good. And what's fascinating is like, he can teach them how to do like the front crawl as an example, right? But just in teaching them doesn't mean that the kids have mastered that skill. How do they master that skill? Well, they master that skill by practicing, that the strokes, and then getting feedback and getting insight from the coach in the midst of that practicing. That's very similar to a membership. And the way in which the kids are progressing with their skills is that they're able to practice, they're getting that feedback, and they're making those adjustments on the fly, which would be different than if they went and did like a course on swimming where they're going to learn, what to do and how to do it. But there's a difference between learning it and mastering it. And that's what a membership gives us the opportunity to do, is to support people in the mastering of what it is that we are teaching. And a success path measures that progress. A success path, like swimming, has different stages or different levels. And as people master those skills, they move further and further along down that path. And what that does is that enables our members to focus on the few things that matter to where they are right now in their development. So, for example, with my kids in swimming, the coach isn't teaching them a whole bunch of advanced techniques. In fact, one of the things that I loved about this swim coach is that he was very intentional about just giving the kids just a few things to focus on. Like I think of my son Sam. Sam's actually, he's 8 years old. He's really good at the front crawl, but he was struggling a little bit with his back crawl. Okay. And what was fascinating was watching the coach work with Sam, because he didn't give him a whole bunch of things that he had to change or tweak or should be focused on. In fact, he gave him one thing initially. He said, Sam, all I want you to do, buddy, is just practice keeping your belly up. Just focus, do everything that you're doing. Just keep your belly up. And that was it. And it was amazing, because giving the kids in Sam's case, just giving him that one thing to focus on right now made a huge difference in terms of his progression with his backstroke. Now, another example of that was my daughter. She was doing the breaststroke, and all he said to her was, Marla, you're doing everything great. I just want you to glide a little more in between when you do those two strokes. Just glide a little more. So he wasn't talking about the technical aspects of the breaststroke, or change this or change that, do this, do that. No, for her, he just kept her focused on one thing, which was just gliding a little more in between strokes. And in doing that, it prevents overwhelm, and it increases the progress and speed of the progress that, in this case, the kids are making in swimming, in the same case, in the progress that your members are making. So by being able to zero in on the few things that members should focus on based on where they are in their level of mastery, what ends up happening is people experience a heck of a lot more progress with what it is that you are teaching them. So this is another distinctive difference between a course and a membership. A course has like an outline or a syllabus. A membership has a success path, and it helps people identify what they should be focused on, and it helps measure the progress that people are making. Okay, now finally, one of the major distinctive differences between a course and a membership, and we know this, is that a membership produces recurring revenue. So whereas a course is typically a one-time fee, people pay one time and they therefore get access to that material. A membership is a recurring fee. So members pay on a monthly basis to have continual access to that membership. Now, there are many different ways, obviously, to price a membership, and there's from an upfront fee and then recurring and monthly. There's all kinds of different ways to price it. In fact, there are 7 different pricing models, in fact, for a membership site. But in general, that's the distinctive difference. Recurring revenue for a membership, one-time fee for a course. So, and hello to everybody. I'm just seeing everybody jumping on it. Now I'm just looking at the comments. Margarita from Portugal, good to see you. Julie's in the house. Karen from Sweden, good to see you. Tavia, good to see you. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right, Tavia. Kate, jumping on, amazing. Amy, George, good to see you. Jane's in the house from Brisbane. Look at everybody from all over the world. Kelly, great to see you too, my friend. Pilar, thank you for that. I'll take a look at that here in just a second. Kat from New Zealand. Anna Runyon, the one and only. Thank you, Anna. Good to see you. Pat's in the house. You guys are awesome. Okay, so now let me circle back. Now we know the distinctive differences between a course and a membership. The question then is, well, which one should I create? And this question gets posed to me all the time. And it's posed as though it's an either or scenario. Should I do a course or should I do a membership? And here's the answer. It's not an either or scenario. It's you should be doing both. Let me say that again. If you are teaching within a course or a membership, you should 100% be thinking about having both a course and a membership. It is not an either or scenario. It is an and scenario. And let me explain why. Years ago, Nicholas Wilton in our community reached out to me in a panic. He has a signature course, and he teaches people how to become a fine artist. He's an amazing artist, and for years he's been teaching people how to further their art skills. And he called me in a panic because he was getting toward the end of delivering his program. His signature course is a 12-week program. It's a really intense, long program. And he was on about week number 10. As he was getting toward the end of that program, he began to see almost like anxiety in his members, in the people that were going through this course. And they were asking questions like, well, wait a minute, like, what's going to happen, when the course is over? Who am I going to be able to get feedback from? Where do I go for support? And people started panicking. Now, if you've ever, sold and delivered a course, you've probably experienced something similar, because as you get toward the end, people start to feel that anxiety that they're no longer going to have the connection that they have had during the delivery of that course, especially if that course is being delivered live. And that's exactly what Nicholas was feeling. So Nicholas, in that moment, he said to me, he's like, Stu, like, I'm on week number 10, and I know that, I should have a membership, to support people after the course, but I don't have one, and I don't know what to do. And he himself was getting a little anxious about it. And so at that point, like, I walked him through how to do a founding member launch, for those members. And ultimately, his reason for wanting to launch a membership was he knew that in the course, people had learned a tremendous amount from what he was teaching. And they had some time to practice those skills, but he knew that the best way to support people in truly mastering that was being with them on an ongoing basis, which was exactly what a membership gave him the vehicle to do. It gave him the vehicle to support his people ongoing, to truly master the skills that he had taught in the course. Now, what was amazing was when he didn't have time to, quote, create a whole big members area and do all the things. And this is why he moved forward with a founding member launch. And he shared with his members of this course on the final call, he said, a lot of people have been asking me questions like this. And he showed screenshots of the questions that people had been asking about, like, what happens after the course and what happens after the program, and where do I go for support? And he said, and it got me thinking. How can I best support you once the course program is finished? And it triggered an idea. And then he went on to explain the idea for his membership. And he flat out said to them that he didn't have it created. It wasn't all fleshed out. This was just the seed of an idea. But if there was enough interest, he would move forward with that idea and have it developed in the next 2 months. Well, long story short, he gave people a simple checkout page where they could become a founding member if they were interested in joining and being a founding member. And what was amazing was he had I think he had like 230 people at that time going 210, that's what it was, 210 people who were going through the course at that time. 180 of them signed up as founding members for this membership. So he had 210 going through the course. 180 of them signed up to be founding members of that membership. And I share this because when people come through a course, it is a natural extension to provide a membership as an option after that course program, because now they have become comfortable in that course environment. It is a safe environment. They've learned a lot, and they want to continue to be supported in mastering what it is that they've learned in that course. And that's why a membership makes an amazing back-end offer for any type of course. So it's not a should I have a course or a membership. It's you should have both. Now let me flip it around and share with you another example. Similarly, how a membership can support a course on the back end, a membership can also support a course on the front end, because a low dollar membership, as an example, is a great way to introduce people to what it is that you teach. But inevitably, in a membership, there will be people who will want to do a deep dive in a certain subject matter. And this is where back-end courses are amazing for members of a membership. People who want to go deeper on a subject are a perfect segment of people who then would make a great offer for a course that goes deeper in that subject. Would be a great offer for them. So you can see how courses and memberships, they work hand in hand together, right? And along these same lines, I get asked like, well, which one should I create first? Should it be the course or should it be the membership? Listen, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter which one you create first. What matters is that you go and get started, right? Do not sit there and spin your wheels, overthinking, overanalyzing. The most important thing you can do is to get going. This is why I walk people through in our program how to do a founding member launch, because it is the fastest, easiest way to get going, even when you have a teeny tiny audience. Because the most important thing that you can learn in the early days is how to best serve your people. And you're only going to learn that by interacting with them and actually serving them. You're not going to learn that at the same level and the same depth, looking from the outside and trying to do research and try to figure it out. So the best way that you can serve people is by getting in there and actually either doing a course or doing a membership, but getting going sooner rather than later. Now, obviously, like my area of expertise is memberships. That's what we specialize in. And so, we have a process and a plan for getting a membership site created very, very quickly in the similar way that, Nicholas Wilton did. He launched and had revenue coming in before he had created any type of content. And you can do the same thing too. It's all about, how to position that with your members. And I've walked through that a little bit here today. Tracy Harris is in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, and Kelly just said, yep, I have both, a course and a membership. Michelle, good to see you from Scotland. Anna said, let me see here. Anna said, glad you're covering this important topic. I've had a membership for a long time and now beta launching a certification program. Both are working very well together. Thank you for sharing that, Anna. And that's exactly it. Like, it's not an either or scenario. It is a both scenario. And I think one of the things that we've got to remember is that we just want to remember that there are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences. So this is why it's not a one or the other. It is both. First and foremost, when you have both, it creates tremendous stability for your business. You got the stability of that upfront revenue that gets generated with a course, and you've got that stability of that ongoing recurring revenue that gets generated with a membership. And Number two is it's the best way to support your clients. From the business point of view, like, yes, that membership creates stability in the recurring revenue, and the course creates that cash flow. But from the client point of view, they learn what to do and how to do it in the course, and then they learn how to master it and implement it in the membership. So it provides the best case scenario to supporting your audience and your members as well. So again, just in recap, it's not an either or scenario. It is a both scenario, and we want to be thinking about that long term. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for joining. Pat Chapman just asked a quick question. Can you do a founding member launch for a course? You certainly can, for sure. I think you can do. I've used a founding member launch for courses, memberships, events, software, masterminds, for sure. And the most important part about that, Pat, is that you get out of your own way. Like, stop overthinking, stop overanalyzing, boil it down to its most simple next steps. When you do that, you create so much more momentum for yourself. And most importantly is, like, you get to learn how to best serve people. This is why I love memberships, because you get to, modify what you're doing and how you do it based on what is happening with your members. And that helps you get not only your messaging and your marketing dialed in, because you're making an offer, you're seeing how people respond, but it helps you, most importantly, get your content dialed in, so you very quickly learn how to best serve your people and help them experience the most amount of progress. And at the end of the day, here's the tip and secret for long-term success. If you and I become known for helping people be able to get a result, it's the best marketing in the world, because now we're equipped with all these incredible stories of progress. That's your best marketing asset you can ever have. So the faster you can begin building that asset by working with people and helping them experience progress, the more overall success you will have in your business. So get out of your own way. That's the big message here as it relates to launching either a course or a membership. Just you got to get out of your own way. You got to keep moving forward, as the t-shirt says. You got to keep moving forward, as the t-shirt says. So hopefully this has been helpful. Now listen, we've got some fun things coming up real soon. In fact, I'm going to share one with you right now. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to come join us for the membership workshop. It is less than a month away. And during the membership workshop, we are going to, number one, help you get clear about whether your market would be a good fit for a membership and what type of membership you should be creating. Number two, we're also going to do a deep dive on how do you structure your content in a membership so that it provides high value for your members and is not overwhelming for you. And then we're also going to talk about launching that membership and how do you get results fast, even if you are starting with a teeny tiny audience. Now, the best part about this workshop is that it's free. It is 100% free. It starts on April 21st. April 21st, mark it down on your calendar. Tell everybody you know. It is going to be an absolutely smasher of an amazing event. It all starts April 21st. You can register for free, membershipworkshop.com. Here's the thing I want you to know. It is back to back to back. There's four parts to the workshop, actually, and they are on consecutive back-to-back days. And I want to encourage you, make sure you go register. It's free. Come join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to help you get tremendously clear so you know exactly how to move forward and how to incorporate a membership into your business. And at the end of the day, one of the things that I am most proud of is how our community has had that stable recurring revenue in a time when things have been so uncertain and unstable. That membership has provided stability. I think back to Casey Hope, who sent me a message right at the beginning of the pandemic, and she was scared because where she was living, things were being shut down, and her brick and mortar art studio was being shut down, and that was a big part of her business, where she was teaching art in an actual studio. She couldn't do that anymore because of the restrictions that were being put in place. But she sent me a message and she just said, Stu, I am so grateful, because she had her digital membership, and that digital membership In her words, she said, it allows me to pay my bills, allows me to pay my team, allows me to have cover, things for us as a family. And I don't have that financial worry and stress that I would have, had I been dependent on the brick and mortar art studio. And funny enough was a few weeks later, she sent me another message and she said, Stu, I'm launching a brand new membership. She said, I just saw like the potential and the opportunity of being able to take what I was teaching in the art studio and transfer it and teach kids online, because there were millions of us parents who were in a bit of a panic, not knowing, what to do with our kids because they weren't in school and they were learning on virtually. Well, Casey recognized that, launched a brand new membership teaching kids art. And it was a safe haven for parents to be able to keep their kids productive and active, so to speak, with the, and creative during that time. And the parents didn't have to come up with the lessons. The parents didn't have to come up with the ideas. Casey was coming up with them for it. And that second membership, saw a massive boom. She had more than 1,000+ members by the end of the year. And it created another level of stability in her business and in her life. This is why I am passionate about memberships. I've got friends who own, as an example, brick and mortar membership or brick and mortar businesses, or they have businesses that do not have a recurring membership component. And it was heartbreaking to see the challenges that they faced, during the pandemic, as restrictions and things were being shut down and et cetera, et cetera. This is why I'm passionate about this, because as business owners, the best thing that we can do is inject recurring revenue into our business so that we have that financial stability. And that's what we're dedicated to doing. And we've gotten really good at this. And we're going to show you exactly how during the free membership workshop that's coming up April 21st. So number one, go and register. It's free, membershipworkshop.com. Number two, tag a friend, bring a friend, tell them to come and join, and let's do this as a collective effort. It is so much more rewarding when we're doing it together, and you're going to see that during the free workshop. So with that, thank you so much, my friends. Hopefully that's helped clarify course or membership. It's not either or, it's both. All right, my friends, have a great rest of the week. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.